Hey guys, and welcome to the newest episode of Be Hero Presents the Pump Card Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, as always, Brian, and with me tonight is my tag partner, Psycho. How you doing tonight, Psycho?
I'm really tired, but I'm good.
I feel you. I got a bit of a head cold going on. That's why I sound all funny.
Yeah, I'm just old.
I laugh, but I'm only a couple of years younger than you, so I can't really laugh that hard.
You're young enough.
Yeah. I'm young enough to laugh at you before I break my hip.
Yeah, respect your elders.
Oh man, I I was making some jokes earlier, and I thought like certain people would get it, but they didn't even get it because I thought, oh yeah, they're my age, if not slightly older than me. They should totally get this joke. Like I did a reference of like to Cheech and Chong. I'm like, you guys should hop in the ring, and one of you should knock on a fake door and say, "Hey, man, it's Dave. Open up." And you respond with, "Dave's not here, man." And nobody freaking got the joke. Nobody knew the Cheech and Chong bit. I'm like,
I would have got it.
I know you would have, but like Doc didn't get it. Like Jesus, he didn't get it. And he's older than both of us.
Yeah,
but he didn't really watch Cheech and Chong a lot. So. Anyhow, we're not here to talk about Cheech and Chong. No. We are here to talk about wrestling. And my God, how crazy wrestling can be in a week. Not only do we have 2 pay-per-views, but we had probably the biggest wrestling story of the year. So.
Yeah.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cover that really fast since we're just supposed to be a review episode of both Payback and All Out. But you can't talk wrestling without talking about this. But we'll try and keep it short to the best of our ability because of who the topic is about.
And can I just say that, for anybody that would normally be like, "Oh, this is the period to skip," hang tight because you might have some different thoughts for me that you're not expecting. So.
Yeah, he's particularly talking to my wife. That being said, of course, we're going to talk about the release of CM Punk from AEW. And wow, how all of that was crazy.
And so, it seems like there's more and more news that keeps getting leaked out like by the day too.
I know. Like there's no way you can keep up with it. Part of the reason we're a little bit behind on this is so that we can see if anything else dropped before we went. That being said, we'll just do a quick review. During All In last weekend, 2 weekends ago at this point, just before All In started, there was some words said on air by Jack Perry referencing an incident he had with CM Punk a few weeks before that. CM Punk was not happy about it, and there was a confrontation in the back. Now, this is about all we know for sure. There's many different stories of many different things, but there is a video out there as well, which has been going through or been reviewed, but not available in public yet. So we can't exactly see what's going on.
Right.
But that incident is what caused the suspension, and then that incident then led to the release of CM Punk. My understanding at this point is, and Tony Khan kind of came out and said this a little bit on the following Dynamite, that CM Punk was being released due to safety. Tony didn't feel safe. He didn't feel the workers could be feeling safe and things like that. That he had respect still for CM Punk, but could not feel safe in a working environment and had to let him go let him go for cause.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So.
Which is really legal terms, to kind of cover their bases, really.
Yeah. It's such an interesting thing. Like, I honestly didn't expect him to be let go. Like this, I thought he was going to go for another long suspension and then maybe make another comeback because Tony Khan was so hyped on him. But in my opinion, and you have all heard my opinion about this many times, I think that the right move was made. That being said, this is not talking about Jack Perry. This is not talking about what should or could happen to Jack Perry. We can only talk about what's happening to CM Punk right now. But I think this is the right move for everybody, CM Punk has been a force of drama. I'm not gonna say cancer because he did do a lot of good things while he was in the company, but he was definitely a source of drama while in the company. And you cannot feel safe and feel harmonic while working around a bunch of drama like that.
So I kind of let me just kind of pipe in here with a little bit of my thoughts here. We all know how I feel about CM Punk and everything like that, right? And I've voiced my opinions as well. However, my opinion on this is that this was best for both parties.
Mm-hmm.
And my reasoning for that is whether or not, who's right, who's wrong, whatever. I feel like it's kind of like when you've got like two people in a relationship and you've got one person when they're single, they're a good person, right? You got another person, that they're a good person, but when you put them together, it's a toxic environment. It's a toxic it's
I can think of 2 relationships you've been in that's exactly that scenario.
just two. But I feel like honestly CM Punk's like run with AEW was kind of a disaster.
Kind of a disaster.
Like not just with how it ended, but it really he was there for 2 years, right? And he missed most of a year being injured, suspended, whatever, right? And his first pretty much his first year, almost first year, he was fine. But this last year, it kind of made everybody forget that there were no issues for his first probably 10 months.
Well, I don't know if I can say no issues because there have been issues now reported from that first time, including an incident with William Regal and other things.
That's true. I do find it interesting that none of that stuff came out until now.
Yeah.
Right. So it was kept very well under wraps. Right. And so who's leaking who or whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Do I think this is the last we've seen of CM Punk? No. I do not. I do not think his match with Samoa Joe is his last match ever. I don't believe that.
That being said, once we get to, or we already talked about it in the last episode, I wouldn't be upset if it was. It was a great match between those two.
I saw Chris Jericho mentioned on his podcast, I think it was, or maybe it was somebody else's podcast, but Jericho mentioned how if this is his last, hurrah, and that was his last match, what a match to go out on, because you're wrestling in front of the biggest paying crowd in wrestling history, 81,000 plus people. And it was a good match. And it was with Samoa Joe. They have a history. Like, I'm always searching for that, like, perfect last match, right? It's always kind of interesting because I'll have a match that I think is going to be my last match. And then one of two things makes it not my last match. One is I feel like, oh, that was a really good match. I can still go. So then I come back and ruin it. Or it was total trash and I think I can't go out like that, right? And so CM Punk's match was kind of the perfect mix though, because it wasn't like a 5-star match, right? However, it definitely wasn't trash. And so it's kind of that middle ground.
You're never going to have a bigger crowd.
Right, exactly. I mean, so it'd be okay. However, I believe if he does come back, I think he has unfinished business in the WWE. I do. And I think that is kind of how he would want to go out, is one last run. And think of the promo that he would cut and they would let him cut, to talk about his AEW time. Tell me that would not pop a rating on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown.
Agreed, but I'll tell you right now, if CM Punk ends up on TV on WWE within the next year,
Mhm.
that will tell you specifically who's currently running the show, whether it's H or McMahon. H, I don't think he would let a person of that dramatic caliber uh, on his show to throw up the flow. What's right there? McMahon will 100% do it. One, for spite against AEW, and two, for the money. And there's an argument for both, right? Like the happy worker makes better product, but subsequently, a great story will also make a great product. So it's give or take. But that right there will be kind of like the way to tell who's running the show is if Punk makes it on there. Like a lot of
I
people right now are wanting Punk to come at Rumble.
Rumble's a good choice. However, did you notice that Survivor Series is in Chicago this year?
So the Survivor Series was probably already planned in Chicago months ago before this
Right,
ever came.
right. But if you were going to bring Punk back and you wanted to boost ticket sales, Chicago might not be a bad idea, for Survivor Series. Now, maybe that's too soon, right? Maybe I don't know if he has a no compete, and in his contract, or if by him being let go with cause, kind of gives him free, reign to sign with whoever, or he's
Yeah.
completely free agent. I don't know the specifics. And Tony Khan was asked about that on the media scrum. And he didn't really specify, or he wasn't able to talk about it. It's like the lawyers will work that out or whatnot, which makes me think that he's not completely clear. And so we'll see. It makes me, I've heard rumors that Punk might sue, but I don't know. Honestly, if I was Punk, I don't think I would. And number one, I don't know if you'd win, right? With
Yeah.
with how it all ended. Unless if they don't punish Jack Perry that much and he's back like, next week, right? Then maybe he has a case. Honestly, I think they should have fired them both to kind of set an example and start fresh, and that there's not going to be any of that crap going around.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Because it was started by Jungle Boy.
It was a shot by Jungle Boy, but how is that any different than the shot that CM Punk did to Adam Page in a promo? Right.
You're right. But Adam Page also started it. Actually, he started the whole thing.
See,
that's my opinion. And
of course, it's your opinion.
That's fact.
What I'm saying is you have to think of it this way, right? Like, this is ostensibly Jack Perry's first offense,
okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Where this is not Punk's first offense or first involvement, I guess would be a better way of saying it. He's obviously been a dramatic character in the back and has caused many issues. And again, like, as the reporting has gone, it seems like that's the impetus of this, but it's not the reason for it. It sounds like there was a confrontation between Punk and Tony Khan specifically that caused him to fear for his safety.
Yeah, and it could have been a lot of things. I'm sure Punk was in a bad mood that day because I guess, he thought that he was going to have a sit down with the Elite, and they were going to hash things out, and the Elite canceled it, or agreed not, or didn't want to do the meeting, and then the whole travel situation with him, being kind of stranded at the airport, all of that probably, he was like, this is ridiculous, right? So and then Jack Perry just kind of sent it over. It was probably the perfect the perfect
perfect storm.
Yeah, exactly. It was all of those things.
Cool.
So
That's one instance. I'll go with you on that. The 8 other ones that people have talked about over the last year and a half.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No,
Okay. That
right.
being
I
said,
agree.
let's go ahead and wrap this up with the whole Punk thing because this
Mhm.
episode's supposed to be a review, but we just could
Yes.
not talk about it. So Punk is gone from AEW. Will he make it to WWE? Who knows? Hit us up in the comments. Also, reach out to us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Facebook or at Be Hero Media. You can also go to us at BeHeroMedia.com. You can also reach out to us directly, Mike Burke at DCW on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also hit me up on Twitter at Mike Burke Pro. You can find Psycho at Psycho Wrestling on Facebook. And you'll get all that again at the end because I'm sure I'll forget I already did this. So, that being said, let's talk actual wrestling and not just straight real
Yes.
drama. Let's start off with WWE Payback.
Yes. Um, and it's interesting because I think that both pay-per-views over the weekend were premium live events, whatever, both events, um, they both to me didn't have the strongest card going in, but I feel like they both had good stuff on them. So this and now granted I did not, just for the listeners at home, I did not watch the AEW pay-per-view all out. Um had some last minute stuff come up and I had to take care of it. However, I did read the results, but I did watch Payback. So the first match on Payback was a doozy. It was a steel cage match
Mm-hmm.
between Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch. And it was a really good match, I thought. It was stiff as heck. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you saw it, all you had to do was look at Trish, and she that was gruesome. It was really
Yeah,
gruesome.
by the end of the match, she looked like she had Klingon ridges from Star Trek coming out of her forehead.
Yes, it totally was. It was, um, gosh, she's an attractive woman still,
She attractive
but
Klingon.
yeah, yeah, she's yes, yes. Um, there's a joke in there somewhere. On top of that joke. But uh it was a good match. I'm not as good on the detail. I know that there was some stiff shots of slamming her into the cage. You know, they were battling up at the top at one point, and there was a really scary spot
The super
where,
duperplex.
well, before that, I
Oh
think
yeah, yeah,
where,
yeah. Yeah, it was
yeah,
right
where
before that.
Trish had her leg, like, or her legs in like in between the cage, like through the little,
Yeah.
space that there was,
So they had
and
the
she
like
got
little the guardrail cross
right.
beams up at the top, and
Mhm.
she was able to get her feet stuck in there, kind of like in the tree of woe.
Yes, and then so she went back. I thought she was going to blow a knee out the way that she fell back like that.
Right. Oh my gosh.
It was scary. Uh, but and then she gets superplexed into the ring. That was crazy. Um,
Super duperplexed.
yes.
Becky was standing on the top rope while Trish was like half hanging on the top of the cage, and Trish pulled her in for a superplex. It was a hell of a cage match.
Yeah, and Trish Stratus at one point did the Widow's Peak
Mm,
that Victoria used to do onto Becky, and she even did the mannerisms of Victoria, and so, which they're really close friends. I really hope Victoria gets into the Hall of Fame because she deserves it. But
agreed.
that was a really cool kind of um shout out, basically. Um, and then uh Zoe Stark, Utah's own Zoe Stark, uh she made her appearance here and tried to help Trish win. Was I think did she slam the door on Becky's head when she was
She
trying to
did.
get out? Yeah, and it was she tried, and um Becky hit the manhandle slam, and I think she hit one like off of the top rope, so it was like a super manhandle slam, and that's what finished Trish.
Yep.
It was a really good match, though. It felt like the end of the story as far as Trish and Becky go, and so it was a really good blow off to their feud.
About
Of
a month late.
it was, yep, it should have happened at SummerSlam, but that was already a packed card, and
It's true.
so they had to move this. I'm glad it got its due here, though, instead of just a Monday Night Raw blow off. I feel like it deserved a pay-per-view.
Yeah, and it went a while. I think it was like 25, 30 minutes. It went. And at the end of this, Trish and Zoe got into it, and
Yes,
Zoe ended up hitting Trish with the 36 or the Z360, letting her go off on her own.
that move looks so stiff. Like
It
it's
does.
it's like the sickest kind of spin-off of the go to sleep. You'll see.
It's true. Yeah, I really enjoyed that match. I'm trying to remember the rest of the card off the top of my head. I think this might be the match of the night for me, honestly.
Yeah, it was a heck of a way to kick off the show. Great opener. So I think I agree with you on that one, but we'll see as we go on. So John Cena came out, cut a promo, um, and basically said that he was going to be the guest referee for LA Knight versus The Miz. Miz comes out, interrupts him. They have a war of words, kind of. Miz kind of says, that he doesn't dress, he needs to dress better. He needs to, make an impact, those types of things. So then it was kind of weird, though, because John Cena then kind of reiterated, "Oh, I'll make an impact. I'll be the guest referee." And Miz is like, "No," and Cena's like, "Yeah," and
Yeah,
and
they did that spot.
they did that whole thing back and forth, which is, I think that it would have worked better if Cena didn't already say he was going to be the guest referee.
Yeah,
If he would have said it after Miz interrupted him, I think that would have had more heat,
I
and
felt
it would
that
have
too.
been more of an announcement.
Before you go on, though,
Yeah.
I wanted to bring this up because I'll forget it if I don't.
Yeah.
So on Monday following this, Miz does Miz TV, and he brings out John Cena. And for the first time ever, no one has ever done this before, for the first time ever, John Cena comes out and nobody can see him. They have it where John's music comes out, the cameraman is watching at the entranceway and reacts as if someone was running down to the ring and does the slide in, does a little shake when he slides in and everything else. And Miz has a conversation with John Cena, who he can't see. And they get into an argument, and Miz ducks a clothesline that can't see and gives the unseeable John Cena a skull crushing finale. It
Oh my
is
gosh.
so good. So good. You got to go watch it. It was so funny. I was dying laughing on how good it was, but how nobody had thought to ever do this spot, but it was done so well. Sorry, let's go ahead and run this episode or run this match real fast. I just had to bring
Yes.
that up, or I was going to forget it.
Wait, so they did an invisible
They
man
did the
gimmick?
John Cena that you can see, and Miz cuts a promo interview on this John Cena who you can't see and does not have the mic right there. It's freaking great.
Oh my gosh. So we go into the LA Knight and the Miz match, and of course Cena, gets a referee shirt for it.
Mm-hmm.
This match, this match was okay. It was pretty much what you'd expect. I'm trying to think of anything that was really notable from it, though. LA Knight gets the victory.
Yeah.
So it's a win for LA Knight. But I can't really think of anything that was too memorable about this match though.
It was fine. One of the big things was like both the Miz and LA Knight both did different things, like doing the spot where they keep fighting and somebody in the corner while the ref counts 4 and then the ref pulls them off. Both times when the Miz did it, he got in John Cena's face and LA Knight got over. And then right after that, LA Knight got in the John Cena's face when he got pulled off, and Miz got over. They did do the pin holding the ropes. Ref catches him spot and kicks the hand with Cena. It was a very basic match. Like, to be honest, this match could have easily been on TV, like on USA. I've been perfectly fine.
I feel like the only thing that made this, somewhat memorable is John Cena, was the guest referee. So I don't know. It was okay.
Yeah.
It was a win for LA Knight, so it did what its purpose was.
Interesting thing about LA Knight, by the way, if you hadn't heard, is so the WWE does their own kind of like ratings of who they think are their top faces, top heels, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And for SmackDown, LA Knight's actually ranked as their top face right now.
Over Cody?
Cody's not on Raw. Cody's on Raw right now.
He's on Raw. Okay.
So
yeah. Wait, over oh my gosh. Sami Zayn?
On Raw.
Oh. Let's see. I don't watch the weeklies, so okay. I guess if they're both over there. Yeah. I can't argue it, I guess. I can't think of anybody.
Yeah.
Since they moved over there. And Jey Uso's
Rey Mysterio's like the only one that I would put up there with them in that vein, who's currently the Utah State. The US title holder.
Yeah.
So that being said, next match. This match was fine.
Yeah. So we have Rey Mysterio defending his US title against Austin Theory in a rematch. This match I kind of felt the same as the previous match. It was fine. Everybody knows I'm not the biggest Austin Theory fan. But it wasn't bad. It was just kind of there. Like this honestly could have been a SmackDown main event too.
Yeah.
And been kept on SmackDown, but you can't have every match be on SmackDown because then you wouldn't be able to fill out a 3-hour pay-per-view or a premium live event.
What this match was missing, honestly, because the match again was fine for everything it was the Santos Escobar inevitable heel turn against Rey. Like, this was the place to do it, honestly. Unless they end up having some Survivor Series style match at Survivor Series dealing with them and that happens there, I think this was the place to have done it. So
yeah. They had this backstage thing after this with Becky Lynch and Tiffany Stratton, who's the NXT Women's Champion.
Yeah.
I'm not really familiar with Tiffany Stratton, but
she's fine. She kind of has like this Malibu Barbie girl kind of like character where my daddy's paid for everything and I'm amazing because look how awesome I am, all my athletic ability and stuff. She does a BME though, best moonsault ever as her finish.
Okay.
So, but yeah, she's fine. She's got a great moonsault, and she's perfectly a perfectly good women's champion over there. But it seems like what they're going to do is either do a program with Becky where Becky ends up winning the NXT title for the first time, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Or ends up doing a program which builds up Tiffany Stratton by defeating Becky Lynch. But I think it'll be more of the former.
Yeah. I think maybe it'll get some people to watch NXT.
Exactly.
So then we've got the tag team title match. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens defending against Judgment Day. And this is no disqualification, right? Oh,
Yes.
Street Fight, yeah.
Street Fight.
So
The Pittsburgh style Street Fight or something like that.
something like that. Yeah, this one was really good. They had they had this wild brawl throughout the whole building, and they were in um the penalty box, for the Pittsburgh.
Go ahead and see what you get.
What?
Who is it?
Oh, the
Pittsburgh who?
Penguins.
Good job. He
Okay.
knows the sports ball.
I had to pause and think for a second. I was like, which sport? Because I was like, Steelers is football. Don't say Steelers. Oh. um and but this was really good. The crowd was into it. It was stiff. um yeah, there was a lot of good spots in this. For this felt like a pay-per-view match, or
Yes.
premium live event. I'm always going to call it pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I can't like argue between or decipher between AEW doing pay-per-view events and WWE doing premium live events. So yeah, this was really good. Honestly, this one is right up there for me with the Becky and Trish match. It's really close between these two of what
Great.
I thought was the best match of the show. This one felt like it wasn't a blow off of a feud. It feels like it was more a kickoff of a feud, or like the next chapter, because I feel like, I mean, we had new champions.
Yeah.
So Finn Balor and Damian Priest ended up winning the titles. There was some interference from Dominic.
And what was his name? JD McDonough.
Okay, yeah, and even Rhea Ripley.
Yep.
She, at one point, I think she speared Kevin Owens.
Yep, through the barricade.
Yes, and that looked good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was almost like what, 4 on no, like 5 on 2, right?
5-on-2.
And so it didn't hurt Owens and Zayn at all that they lost this. They were kept strong, even though there's new champs. And thank goodness, by the way, that they actually gave Finn Balor a big win here. So now he's tag champs. I think that they can milk that between him and Damian Priest a little bit more. But also he needed something.
Yeah.
He'd lost a lot recently, I feel like, especially with all the stuff with Seth Rollins. And so this was a good win, and I'm happy to see where it goes.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to go interestingly. They are already doing stuff on Raw with this involved. I don't want to, give away the farm just yet on this because of something that happens later. But a certain returning wrestler joins Sammy in a match because Kevin's not there. Kevin's actually, was still injured. That's part of the reason they had to drop the titles. So he's dealing with injuries, so he's not going to be there for a minute. But they have some great story stuff going on right now on Raw involving someone I believe we were about to talk about as a returning person. But this match, fantastic. I super enjoyed this match. The falsies were perfectly timed. I think they teased the finishes so well in this. It was great. There was a lot of great comedy in it, but it wasn't a comedy match. It was about the best. Watching this in comparison to watching the arena match in AEW on the prior week from our last episode I talked about, this is the way you do a arena style match. The match is where you go all across the arena where you are doing things, because you have funny gimmick spots, you have everything that makes sense, but you have these great falsies that end up in the middle of the ring, or great other spots that happen that you can kind of tie into the rest of the thing. The story was so well done in this match. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I don't know. I think this is still also tied with me, like right there with the steel cage match. I think these are the two best matches of the card. They're one A and one B really.
Yeah, and they did a spot here um where they were on where Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were kind of paying tribute to Terry Funk,
Hmm.
where they put the trash can on um was
Finn
it Finn
Balor.
Balor? Yeah,
Yep,
on Finn Balor. And yeah, we're beating him with the Singapore Canes or whatever. And or maybe it was maybe it was steel chairs. I forget which.
they were Kendo
Uh,
six.
okay, they were Kendo six. And so kind of paying homage to Terry Funk there, who has passed away. Um and then was Kevin Owens bleeding in this match? Didn't he come up bloody?
Yes, he came
Which
out
is
bloody.
which is rare for WWE because they haven't done blood in a while, I don't think, have they?
Not purposely. They'll do hard ways every once in a while, like Cody and Brock at SummerSlam had
Oh, that's
a
true.
hard way.
That's true. Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah, but really, really good match. So the next match, or actually the next segment, you had Grayson Waller doing the Grayson Waller effect. He brings out Cody Rhodes, and Cody really does nothing here other than introduce the newest member to Monday Night Raw, Jey Uso. And it was kind of weird how they used Cody here. Like, I assume that they did it to give a rub to Jey Uso, as a top guy or whatever. But they didn't really need to do this with Cody. I don't know. It was just nothing for Cody to do here.
well, I think this is more of laying seed than it is of nothing for him because you have to give it time, right? So
Uh,
they kind of played with this on the following Raw. This is the one I was talking about, by the way.
oh.
Sammy and Jey Uso have a spot on Raw. It was
Mhm.
great, and then
Mhm.
they end up doing a tag match against the Judgment Day. That being said, the reason for Cody doing this is more in the words Cody used is he still has some backstage credit, right? He's able to do trades. He's able to move things around, and he used the last of his good credit to do so. What a lot of people are thinking, and what it seems like that they're building to, is the trade from one member of Raw to one member of SmackDown. We got the SmackDown member of Jey Uso, and the person going to Raw is most likely going to be Cody, who will get his WrestleMania rematch against Roman Reigns.
Okay. So if he goes to SmackDown, you can't like hold this off all the way until like January, right? To do the trade. It's like, oh, remember there was somebody, when Jey Uso went to Raw? Well, 4 months later, or 5 months later, here's the
Uh,
guy that's going to SmackDown.
I don't think that they'll build it that way. What they'll probably do, it'll be my assumption, is with by like or just before Survivor Series or something like that, they'll announce it like within the next 2 weeks. Um, and then they're gonna build a program where it's gonna be or not Seth, Cody and maybe like Solo are doing a thing, and he causes Solo to go out. So at WrestleMania, it's just him and Roman. And that's it. That makes the most sense to me of how to build it. But we'll have to see how it goes. But Adam Pierce does mention on Monday, like reiterates it and says that now that Jay's here, that doesn't mean, that means we have to give somebody from Raw or send somebody from Raw over to SmackDown. So they are teasing it, but it's probably going to be Cody.
Gotcha. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I like that. I feel like they could just have him. I mean, the obvious way is to have Cody win the Rumble again, but that's 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, but whoever's winning the Rumble has to face Roman, I would think. I mean, I guess they could face Seth, for that title. Um, So maybe they do go that route. But I mean, if I am the winner of the Royal Rumble, I'm choosing the top title and not Seth's title, but unless it's somebody that Seth is already feuding with
which
or has
currently
a
is
personal
Shinsuke.
issue. Right. And I don't think that has legs to make it to WrestleMania. So I think
I don't think so either.
they'll move on to something else.
Ideally, we're probably going to see LA Knight winning the Rumble.
Yeah. I could see that. Let's come back to that in a second because we
still have a time to go.
Yes, we got Rhea Ripley next defending her women's title, Raw Women's title against Raquel Rodriguez. This to me was the worst match on the show.
Agreed.
I like Rhea Ripley, but it was, I mean, Raquel is green, still very green, and there was a lot of sloppy spots. There was, I don't know, not a lot to this. Rhea Ripley retains. This felt like, all right, we just, Rhea Ripley was left off the last pay-per-view, left off SummerSlam and stuff. Let's give her something to do here.
Well, I think on paper, you look at this match and it's a good match because it's finally somebody that Rhea can't just throw around and beat down, right? She's been going through all of the women's division and just destroying everybody in moments because she's so much bigger and so much more powerful. So, of course, the bigger, more powerful Raquel Rodriguez makes sense. But Raquel is not there yet to be able to do that. And I think Rhea's fantastic, but I don't think she's the kind of worker yet that's able to carry somebody through a match the caliber of Raquel Rodriguez. I made a reference or made a joke during this match that is Raquel's doing like 4 or 5 like clotheslines in a row. And I look over at Nick and I'm like, tell me I'm green without telling me I'm green. Or tell me you're green without telling me you're green.
Oh,
Doing nothing but clotheslines.
I thought it was just tell me you're a Warrior fan without telling me you're a Warrior fan.
Same statement, honestly.
Yes. It could have been said about him too.
But it's fine. And I think Raquel has an opportunity of being very good. But I think she was brought up from NXT too early. And I think it's all because of her size. I think her in the tag team is a great spot for her.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this was nothing. It didn't help anybody.
Right. They had John Cena in the back, like wearing a sports jacket and a pink bow tie, and basically interviewing Judgment Day. I think John Cena was way over the top with this.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of, I get, he was trying to be entertaining and all this and lead something since he was the host of the show, but I don't know. It's really annoying. It's too over the top for me. But
it's fine. I mean, I see what he was trying to do, but yeah. Meh.
Yeah, exactly. So then you've got the main event, the Raw World title. Seth Rollins, who came out first, defending against Shinsuke Nakamura.
Now he did come out first, but it was the Japanese entrance, which means that they get to the ring and did the announcing there. So it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I really like Nakamura as a heel, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I think like it works. And they had Great Muta in the crowd, by the way. Which kind of made you think, oh, maybe they will put the title on him and Great Muta's here to, celebrate or whatever. But wasn't meant to be. This match, it's funny because when I was watching it, I was like, oh, this is turning into a really good match. And it was a good match. It just wasn't a great match. I don't know how I feel about this match, to be honest. Seth Rollins wins. Just
kind of out of nowhere, yeah.
Yeah. It was the finish altogether was kind of weird because uh Seth wins, and then like before they go off the air, you've got Nakamura and like basically doing kind of a stare down from the outside, and even you were like, "Oh, hold on, I think they're going to do an angle here or something." Then it goes off the air, and apparently they did do something after it went off the air,
Yep.
and Shinsuke apparently attacked Seth Rollins. um why wouldn't you show that? Why wouldn't you let that be how it goes off the air? I think that would have been a better end to the pay-per-view.
Hmm.
I don't know, it
Oh,
was just okay, it was
oh,
good, but
on Raw, they're still playing with the storyline, so they're going to continue this program between the two,
mhm,
which I think is fine. I think if they up the scale a bit, and they might have a better match because again, this match was fine.
mhm,
Um, I won't remember it come
yeah,
next year. I'll remember the cage match, and I'll most likely remember
mhm,
the uh, Still City street fight,
mhm.
which was the tag match we talked about earlier. But
You had to look
I
that up,
won't
didn't
remember
you?
that much. No, I remembered as soon as
Oh,
I said the Pittsburgh thing. It's like, oh yeah, it's
huh,
a Still City something, and then as I was
huh.
saying it, it's like street fight. That's the word.
Yes. Yeah, this was a good match though. It was way better than the women's match, but definitely it was there.
It was a thing.
So overall, how would you rate this pay-per-view? Like what did you think of the
Um,
pay-per-view?
I don't know. It's a mixed bag because it's like for a payback, for like
Mhm,
a mid pay per view that's on a big
mhm,
four, it was really good. Um, but if you compared it against like a bigger four one, it's not that quality of it. It'd be like a low end like Survivor Series or excuse me, SummerSlam. So I think it was fine. It's just I don't know. It's almost getting to fatigue at the moment because of knowing that we had uh SummerSlam, which was very good. We had All In, which was very good, very good. Then we had this, and then knowing we're gonna have another show the next
yeah,
day, there was a bit of like fatigue. So I kind of was like,
it's a lot of wrestling. Yes.
yeah, and like it was very hard to really enjoy it. But I think if I came back and watched this like now 6 months from now, I probably enjoy it more.
Yeah, I thought it felt like a B pay-per-view though.
Mhm.
You
It
know,
did.
it felt like a filler pay-per-view, and I think it was the first one in a while that Roman Reigns and the Bloodline wasn't a major part of the story for the show. Like you'd have to go back a while to not have Roman Reigns on the show.
Well, what it feels like is they're starting to get where they're slowing down the bloodline stuff, which is fine. I mean, you have Jay on one show, Jimmy on the other, and they're separate from the bloodline
Mhm,
altogether. And then you have Roman and Solo doing their thing on SmackDown only. It feels like they're now building to making the Judgment Day, bringing up that faction to
mhm,
try and fill that spot, which is exactly what this pay per view did.
mhm.
They felt like a credible,
And
a creditable like faction to
and
be the head.
and the Bloodline story really, I think, what it really did, it elevated Jey Uso big time.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't know, even though they were giving him the main event spot and everything, he didn't really feel like a main event guy to me until now when they've separated him
Hmm.
from that. Because now he gets to hang on his own, and if he gets into a top, top program, and I hope they put him with top guys.
It
um
looks like the angle they're going to work him to being is they're probably going to have it be him and Drew McIntyre, and Drew's
okay,
going to go heel.
okay,
Um,
good work.
they had a spot on Raw when Jay came out. Jay cut a promo and everything else. They started coming to the back because him and Cody or him and Sammy did a spot, and then right before they make it to the back, uh, Drew McIntyre comes out for his match and kind of stares him down and is obviously getting his face. And, they make reference to Drew getting screwed by the bloodline being champion and like he's jumped him before and like he doesn't trust him, a whole thing. So
Yep. But yeah, this whole thing was good.
Yep.
Just I'm not going to remember a lot from it. Going forward, but
Like I
maybe a
said,
couple of matches. Yep,
yeah,
the
the
matches you
two
mentioned.
matches, yeah,
Yep, it was a 2-match show, to be honest.
yeah,
Okay, so now we go to All Out,
correct.
right? And there was oh, this card did not look good going in, to the point where even when I had things come up, I I wasn't psyched to go watch it, and so I mean, I ended up not getting to watch it, even though. However, after reading the results, and we'll get to it, and kind of seeing and reading up on it, I feel like I missed something there. I
There was
feel like
surprisingly good stuff on this show.
I feel like everybody stepped it up, and yeah, this is one that I'm probably going to have to track down footage and kind of watch some of this stuff. So let me pull up the card here. Sorry, I had it, but hold on. So this obviously is in Chicago.
Mhm.
Uh,
Which surprisingly,
mhm,
save the match that the what the hell are their names? The Bucks are in. Um,
mhm.
not an ounce of hate at all,
Yeah.
whatsoever. Like the fans were just so happy, so excited to have AEW there. They were screaming like crazy. The only time that there was any hate at all was when the Bucks were there. Which I think the Bucks are going to end up being like Chicago's going to be their Shawn Michaels Canada kind of thing.
Oh, easy, easy. Um, sorry,
I'm trying to remember. I think the first official match was the tag match between the ROH champions, which are currently
yes.
better than you, Bebe, which is the current AEW champion MJF, and Cole against the Dark Order being brought out by Evil Uno and had John Silver and Adam something.
Uh,
Adam. Adam. That's the other guy. I can't remember his name. Um.
are you
eh,
talking?
eh,
Wait. So it's Dark Order against obviously MJF and Adam Cole, but
yes,
it's
the members of Dark Order in this.
Silver. Um,
John Silver and
yeah, John Silver,
Adam
Reynolds,
Reynolds.
Reynolds.
Yeah, or Alec Reynolds. Alec Reynolds. That's
Out.
what it was.
There you go. There you go.
Um.
I get the last name. You get the first name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You tell me about it.
surprisingly, so the Dark Order has kind of had a heel turn ish on here, which was interesting because they've been ostensibly faces since Brody Lee died, and they've kind of had this new turn to being heelish characters, and I mean the fans are still behind them for a bit, but by God, do are MJF and Adam Cole so over right with this thing? It is so insanely good. So in this match, you have MJF and Adam Cole just ripping Dark Order to shreds. And there's a thing where you find out that Alec Reynolds actually was one of the trainers that helped train MJF when he was younger.
Okay.
And so they do a little bit of a spot with that and things like that. And they were playing up that MJF was still technically injured from the All In with his neck injury that Adam Cole gave him. So during this match, they go through a great shine, do all this stuff at the beginning, and then MJF or MJF saves Adam Cole on the outside because he's being attacked by John Silver, and while Evil Uno has the ref distracted, Reynolds comes up behind him and hits MJF in the back of the neck with a chair. Like turns it sideways at top of the chair right to the back of the neck, and MJF sells it brilliantly. selling the neck injury and everything else. Like he can't get in. Like the trainers have to come out and protect him and save him. And they do the spot where Solo face is against the tag team of the heels thing. So Adam Cole's got to survive on his own, which Adam Cole does a fantastic job. And then is trying to do his best, but he gets some hopes here and everything else, and is bumping like crazy for these two. And Dark Order actually feel like a credible tag team in this going in. Like you knew they were losing, but they gave you that like little bit of like, are they though? Which is great because sometimes
Mhm.
you see some tag matches, especially on people who are so over like these two. Um, these two, of course, being MJF and Adam Cole. Uh, and you look at them and you're like, there's no way these guys are losing to these snubs, right? But they put enough doubt in there for it's like, maybe, I doubt it, but maybe. I'd be surprised. Well, during the hot tag, MJF does come out from the back, holding his neck and everything else, and is selling his neck the whole time, like holding the back of his neck as he does everything, and does the hot tag and bumps him, bumps him, bumps him, bumps him, does the kangaroo kick, gets the crowd over, and then they end up winning with a double clothesline. John Silver had a great line too because he ends up bumping, I think it was Adam Cole, and he hits him with two clotheslines like back to back, and he looks around the fence, double clothesline. Y'all are stupid. That's so funny. But yeah, so MJF and Adam Cole retain. Great spot. It was just
Cool.
good match. Like story wise, I was really into it. There was really no flaws with the match itself. Like it's not gonna be a 5-star match, but for story
Mhm.
wise, it was fantastic, and did exactly what it needed to do for me. It's that nice thing in AEW that it is different, right? The AEW is primarily like all about the high spots, and everything that Adam Cole and JF are doing right now, especially with tag match stuff as well as their single match stuff, is so story driven. It's causing it to be different in AEW.
Yeah, I think. I mean, honestly, I love MJF and Adam Cole right now. Um, I This was one of the reasons though why I wasn't psyched to watch this show, though not because of them, but just because honestly, I don't care for Ring of Honor, and so and it seemed like they put a lot of Ring of Honor stuff on this show,
Yes, they did.
and so as it felt like filler to me, like oh this is going to be dreadful. Punk's gone, and now they can't fill that void, type of thing. But however,
I roll.
by them putting this match first, what happens after I read is a great way to segue. So apparently MJF, they were making their way out, and Samoa Joe,
Oh yeah.
who's coming in for his next match, uh comes out while they're still out there, and kind of tell me exactly what happens here. Obviously there's a scuffle, but what happens here?
It's very simple. So MJF and Adam Cole are walking up the ramp, getting ready to head out to the end or head out, where Samoa Joe comes down with his music playing, and literally just does the like shove, like the light
Mhm.
shove out of my way, peon kind of thing, and it walks into the ring. And then MJF looks at him, looks at Adam Cole, looks at him, and then goes and confronts him in the middle of the ring and shoves him, and they get into a scuffle. And then Adam Cole, or I'm sorry, not Adam Cole, MJF gets put into the Karakuda clutch, the choke, the rear
Mhm.
naked choke, and is actually at one point it's a standing version, so he's hanging him essentially that
Mhm.
way off of a neck injury. So they're playing up the neck injury with that, and they actually have to do it where like Joe doesn't care, like he's here just like he wanted to push him or he pushed him like get out of my way, peon, and is just standing there. MJF came on him. So at one point when they're separating all of the refs and the guys trying to break it all up and everything, they're all pretty much on MJF, and like one is lightly holding Joe back, and Joe's like, "I, he came at me," kind of thing. So they're obviously going to play up a thing where those two are going to have a match, which I'm super excited for.
Yeah, I am super excited for that match. I think Joe and MJF should be a fantastic program.
Oh yeah,
Uh, and that's that I'm there for that for sure. So Joe, is in there to defend the TV title against Shane Taylor. No idea who Shane Taylor is. Some Ring of Honor guy.
yep.
I apologize, if I'm discrediting him. I just don't know him.
You're not.
Um. Okay. Um. Apparently, was this kind of a squash, or was it?
It was. I wouldn't call it a squash,
Mhm.
but there was never in doubt who was winning this.
Sure.
Um, Shane Taylor did, put up an interesting fight, but he's got that very indie, like thug style of wrestling, if that makes sense. Like
Mhm.
you've seen it a ton of times on the indies where you'll have a guy who comes out and like his whole character is I'm a badass. That's what this guy was. Is his character was he was a badass. No depth to the character, no story, no backstory, no anything else. His character was I'm a badass and walked out there and was throwing haymakers, throwing like these big moves and stuff like that on Joe. To be honest though, like I remember very little about this match. It was I won't say it was hard to watch, but it was just not. I didn't care to watch it. Um, I'm trying to think back. I don't remember how the finish goes.
Apparently, it is Kakina Clutch. Yeah, they're forearming each other, and Joe pulls him into the Kakina Clutch, and that's it.
Yeah, they didn't go long. I think it was
6
maybe.
minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe 8 minutes at most, but yeah,
Yep, 6 minutes and 23 seconds. Um.
it was meh. Less than meh.
Okay.
Um, I can't even say like anything good about it. It wasn't terrible. Like there wasn't really any blown spots I remember, but it it's the worst compliment I can give any piece of entertainment. I don't remember it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing here was the just kind of a segue, from that, just a reason for MJF and Samoa Joe to cross paths.
Exactly.
I think that's what they use these two Ring of Honor title matches for. Um, so the next match, you've got the TNT Championship, Luchasaurus with Christian versus Darby Allin, and yeah, this let's see here. Yeah, and I guess Nick Wayne is also out there
Yep.
with Darby. Tell me about this match.
It was perfectly fine. It was Darby and Lucha, Soros doing big man, little man stuff pretty much the whole way. Um, Darby Allen though was bumping his butt off. Like I don't know how that kid survives. I
I
think
don't know how he's still walking. Right?
exactly. I'm trying to remember most of this match. I don't remember a lot out of this match per
Well, it
se.
went double the time that the Samoa Joe match did.
Um,
It went
the
12
biggest
minutes.
thing was um at the end of towards the end of the match where Darby had his comeback. He's about to hit the coffin drop on Luchasaurus,
Mm.
and Christian goes and starts attacking Nick Wayne, and is getting ready to give him a concerto as Darby's coming up for the coffin drop, and instead he goes after Christian and starts attacking him. Lucha, as he gets back in the ring, Luchasaurus grabs him, hits him with, I believe, the choke slam. I think that's what they finished with,
Yeah, I was.
and it gets the pin. That was essentially it. The match was fine. Again, it's a Darby Allin match, which means it's very high spotty. And the story was very
Oh,
simple. It was big man, little man.
actually, I take that back. It was a pair of tombstones and a clothesline to the back of the head.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Now I remember that. So he grabs him for the tombstone. So he hits the first tombstone. stands back up, and as he's standing back up, Darby just puts his hands down, like lays his hands down, like he was knocked down the tombstone. Then he gives him a second one, and then like he's still out a little bit, but he kind of like grabs back, and then Luchasaurus, still holding him like a tombstone, flips him up, and so he's like pancake level, and throws him. So he ends up hitting a snake eyes on the top rope, and he comes off of that, and then Luchasaurus hits him with the clothesline.
Interesting.
And it was nasty looking, and Darby didn't get up after. He stayed down. Nick Wayne came in and everything else. Like, they had trainers and everything out to check on him. They did a whole thing. Like, you did not see Darby Allin walk out.
Yeah, this
I totally forgot about that until now.
it sounded like a good match actually. And it was a big win for Luchasaurus. I think it really, from what I've read, it really helps Luchasaurus. He needed a big win like this, a statement win.
It makes him look like a monster, like legitly like a monster, especially the way he did that finish. And again, like, they did a big man, little man, and Darby Allin's the right person for that kind of match, for a guy to make him bump like crazy. Like, Luchasaurus, especially as the face, was always kind of like a big guy who could do high fly crap, and now he's just being a big mean monster, and that's exactly what he needs to be.
Yeah, 100% there. And Christian in the scrum afterwards, was talking about how they signed him to a new contract. So he's going to be around for a little bit.
Nice.
And I'm loving his kind of his pairing here with Luchasaurus and this gimmick. But yeah, so then we've got Powerhouse Hobbs against Miro. I heard this was fantastic.
It was very good. I'll take a little love here from the great Simon Miller from What Culture, and say this was two men slapping man meat. It's exactly what it was supposed to be and what it needed to be. These two just wrecked the crap out of each other, throwing suplexes on each other, throwing some of the meanest clotheslines and shots I've seen. One of the crazy spots was towards the end, though, was at the end, Miro goes and hits the game over, which is the Cobra Clutch, and is hitting that on there, and then Hobbs gets out, and then Hobbs gets over top and is about ready to hit Miro with a chair, right? And Lana, of all people, comes in. CJ Perry, who is Miro's actual wife in real life, comes out and goes to hit Hobbs, and he turns. Did she hit him? I can't remember. She either was going to or did hit him, and Hobbs gets up and is like, "What the WTF?" and turns his back around to Miro, who grabs the chair, hits him, and this is while the ref is down, and Miro gets the win and everything else, but CJ's sitting there smiling at her husband, and her husband's like, has this look of like, "What the hell are you doing here?" kind of thing, and he leaves CJ Perry in the ring. Like, you have no clue why she's there to save him, what the problem is with the two, and everything else going on. So it's very odd.
Yeah.
But it was a fine match. Again, like, it's the problem with me for AEW is there's so many spots. It's hard to remember anything big, like any like particular pieces of it. So I don't remember exactly what it was. I do remember really enjoying this match, though.
Yeah, I heard it was really good. Was the crowd chanting "meat" during this?
I think that's what that was.
That's what I heard, is that they were chanting like "meat."
It was very hard to understand them sometimes. But so in this match, they were hitting the ring so hard that the old school method of trying to make the ring sound bigger is by throwing a mic underneath, right? You
Mhm.
can hear the mic reverb under the ring because of how hard they were hitting the ring.
Yeah. I might have to track this one down.
It was very good.
Um, so next we've got the TBS title, Chris Statlander versus Ruby Soho. Um, yeah, tell me about this one.
Um, I don't like Chris Statlander. I don't think she can work, and I don't know why
Okay.
she's champion right now. Um,
Okay. Well, I think
also,
she's over, isn't she? I mean, she gets good crowd reactions,
the
doesn't she?
fan likes her. The fan like her for plenty fine and everything else. There was quite an inappropriate sign that was out in the crowd. So she
Oh.
used to do the alien gimmick, right, where she would boot people
Uh-huh.
on the nose. And let's say that somebody wants to get booped, but not in their nose.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Uh, but this
Might
match
have to
was
track that down.
yeah, this match was good. Ruby carried the crap out of this match, as well as Paige, Sierra, whatever her name is,
Soraya.
Soraya. Yeah, I'm tired, man. I'm sorry, and like I said, I got
Uh,
a head cold, so uh, yeah, Soraya is out there as well, who is currently the women's champion. Um, I didn't know this, but Ruby Soho, like either as Ruby Soho or Ruby Riot, or even when
mhm.
she was Heidi Lovelace, she has never won a title anywhere,
Right.
and that was insane to me because she's such a great worker. Uh, so this match was fine. I did think though that this one could have gone either way, like between Statlander and Ruby Soho. I think they told the story well enough for that, especially with having the involvement of what they had.
Mhm.
Um, but they are doing something interesting with Tony Storm. They're doing this like crazy gimmick with her.
Mhm.
So, well, before we get to there, they did the cutoff, which I really liked. Was Soraya gets up on the apron and is yelling at Chris Statlander, and Chris Statlander gets out and starts chasing Soraya, and they do that running around gimmick, and she's just running like crazy, which is always a gimmick I love, where they do the running around, like the ballet does the running around, and then the heel comes over and hits him. I mean, I know a person that did specifically that clothesline spot with somebody I know, Nicholas.
Okay. Okay.
So they did that spot where that was the cutoff. Was Ruby was on the outside waiting. Soraya runs past and takes the shot from, or Chris Statlander takes the shot from Ruby. So
Okay.
great clothesline, a great old school spot. But
Nice.
so Ruby's about to win, right? So she gets knocked down. Um, she gets knocked down. Soraya gets up on the apron after throwing the spray can to Ruby. And out of nowhere, Tony Storm comes out from under the ring wearing like a negligee for some reason and goes and gets the can of spray from Ruby and just starts kind of like spraying it up in the air like it's a Febreze smell or whatever. And then Ruby's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And then turns around right into Statlander,
Huh.
and that's the finish.
Okay.
So it was a fine match. It was interesting. I'm not sure what they're trying to do with the storyline though.
Well, clearly they're breaking up.
Yeah, the Outsiders or
Yeah,
the
the
Outlaw, whatever.
Outcasts.
Outcasts. That's what.
Yep. Yep. Clearly there's dissension there. Um. Yeah, it is what it is. So now we've got Brian Danielson. Is that right? Let's see. Make sure that's the next one. Yeah, Brian Danielson against Ricky Starks in a no DQ strap match. I heard this was really good too and really vicious.
This match is tied for the match of the night for me.
Okay. Okay.
And you know how I feel about Ricky Stark. But
Uh-huh.
Brian Danielson
Uh-huh.
is a god. He can work with anybody and make them look fantastic.
Well, Brian Danielson in the scrum afterwards said that Ricky Starks carried him through this match because he's not 100%.
No, yeah, he came out with a wrapped arm for his broken arm still, and he's obviously got a splint on it and stuff, so they had to work around it.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Um,
said that, like, there was a lot of smoke and mirrors in this match because he didn't throw a punch with his right hand,
mhm.
and all that, but I heard it was really stiff, it was blood, um,
Oh yeah,
and then, I think didn't Danielson, like, whip, like, Ricky Starks, like, in the face with the strap?
yes, yeah.
Ooh.
So he was whipping him while he was in the corner, right? And he was
Uh-huh,
getting, and he was going too quick on a couple of them, and he was in the, I think it was in the Tree of Woe, if I remember right. And
mhm.
he was whipping him across the chest, and he got him one way too low and got him like right in the mouth.
Ooh.
Like, and you see it too, like right when it happens. I called it out to our friend Jake, who was with
Uh-huh,
us watching it.
mhm.
I'm like, oh my god, he just hit him right in the mouth. Um, which
Oh,
is fine because he's got the face like a toe. But uh, they did also have Steamboat out on commentary, which his commentary skills were fine. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to
yeah,
have like Steamboat out there on the regular doing commentary. He was perfectly good.
I heard he did pretty good.
Um, but then he came out and was involved in a spot towards the end. So it was a really good match. I really enjoyed it. The right person finished or won, which was
Mhm.
Danielson. Won with a version of the label lock where he was pulling on the face with the strap, which
Oof.
was great. So
I From everything that I've read about this match, I feel like this is the match that really took Ricky Starks to that next level and made him a main event guy.
I don't know if I call it main event, but it definitely did raise his equity a lot. Like, again, like, if you've heard the podcast before, you know how I feel about Ricky Starks, similar how you
Mhm.
feel about
Right.
good old Austin Theory.
Austin Theory. Uh-huh.
Uh, this gave me a lot more credibility for Ricky Stark as a worker if he stays in this kind of level of heel. He's a lot better heel than he was a face.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things I disliked about him so much was that he was trying to do the face gimmick after leaving with Hobbs, like
See
severing
this
from Hobbs.
right. And I this is why this is an example of why I feel like Ricky Starks is better than Austin Theory because Austin Theory has never had a match this good. Like ever, in my opinion. Like this match sounds really good. I've heard nothing but good things about this match. Um, I've never heard of an Austin Theory match being, you know, borderline great. So
Well, not to put down, like, say, Rey Mysterio, but who's Theory worked?
John Cena,
Yeah,
uh, you know, Rey Mysterio, um, let's see, I'm pretty sure he worked. I'm trying to think of others. Honestly, I blank out a lot on Austin Theory matches, to be honest.
he worked a lot of midi card guys, but he never had like a great opportunity. Like, he didn't work somebody the caliber of Daniel Bryan
Well, there's
or
not
Brian
somebody the
Danielson.
cannibal of Brian Danielson in
Yeah,
WWE right now. Like, I
there's not.
mean, it's a hard it's
Yeah,
hard to compare him to anybody because he's so good.
yeah.
Like we were kind of talking about off air that with him kind of taking over collisions and being on Saturday, that makes me really intrigued for collision because it's like you're taking Punk off, but you're replacing him with Danielson. I gotta think that the show. I mean, on paper, it looks like the show could improve.
Personally, I think it's an upgrade in general.
So we'll have to see, what direction they go in there. But Brian Danielson's probably what top three if I'm like, and he'd be probably number one or number two, like out of everybody.
There's an argument who said about him being the greatest of all time,
Mhm.
but I would definitely say he's the greatest active worker right now.
Yeah, I just don't know anybody. I mean, really that holds a candle to him. So he's that good.
Yeah.
But yeah, good for Ricky Starks. I'm it worked out in his favor, I think, with everything that happened around
That was
his
a
match.
much better match than he would have had with CM Punk.
So then we've got here we have got Eddie Kingston and okay, I'm gonna try Katsuyori Shibata.
Very good.
Yes. Versus Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. Much easier names to pronounce. What can you tell me about this match?
Well, one, it had Eddie Kingston in it, so I already had the negative marks for me. But Shibata is amazing. So they have the story where Eddie Kingston and Shibata are only working together because they both hate Claudio, like would disdain him. So at the beginning of the match, like Wheeler starts off, and it's Wheeler and Shibata, and then Wheeler tags out to Claudio, and then Eddie tags himself in. And these are the faces, right? And they never really go back, like they never really have an interaction, but it feels like they could have easily done it. This, by the way, was one of Eddie Kingston's better matches. I think it's because it had to be a straight up match, and him and Claudio just had so much actual, like, you could feel the heat they have. I don't think it's legit heat. Like, I don't think they really dislike each other, but they tell that story so well. They have great chemistry together that when those two were in there, it was working great. Wheeler Yuta bumped his ass off for this match. Like, I don't know if you can see it as often, but Wheeler Yuta is like an unsung hero of the BCC because he bumps for everything. It's like Daniel doesn't want to take a bump, Claudio doesn't want to take a bump, and or Brian Danielson, excuse me, and Claudio, they don't want to bump. John Moxley doesn't want to bump unless he gets the bleed off of it. So instead, Wheeler Yuta has the bump and take pins and do everything. And he just does such a great job putting everybody else over. It looks so good. But there's a lot of good stuff in here. Claudio hit a couple of big moves that he does for his finishes, like the his version of the gouch pile driver, but it's more the splash version. So he calls the neutralizer. He tries to hit the powerbomb he does that I can't think of right now. It's named after the bloody cough drops. Well, my brain's too fogged right now to think of it. The Rico Love Bomb. He tries to hit that on Eddie Kingston, but isn't able to do it. Like they have a really good match, stiff like crazy. Like I'm a stiff worker or relatively stiff worker for who I'm working and stuff. But like I even had to say like, all right, that's stiff, boys, because that's how bad it was. So, man,
yeah,
it was a good match. I enjoyed it. I won't remember it a month from now.
Yeah, and Castagnoli apparently hits an uppercut to finish Kingston.
Yeah. And lays him out with it too. Looks great.
Yep.
While Shibata was hitting or doing something to Wheeler on the corner and then realized too late. Like it was well timed. Like it was a well placed way to do the finish.
Yeah, there wasn't. I mean, I don't have a lot to comment on this match. I feel the same way as far as you do with Kingston. You know, that was one thing that Punk had a line about that I think we can both agree on is that you know, Eddie Kingston is the second best Kingston. So
Yeah.
I mean, it might not even be the second best if there's another Kingston, like you know, there's probably a Kingston, you know, walking the streets. It's probably anyway. But so next match we have Kenny Omega versus oh boy, Konosuke Takeshita?
Takeshita, yep.
Yes. Yes.
So my favorite part about doing the AEW things is listening you try to say Japanese words.
Yes, I'm getting better. It's only because I've heard it so much. It's like, okay, I got to remember that. Got to remember that because I've messed it up so much. Um, yeah, I heard this was a pretty good match.
It was also very good, very good. Um, Also very stiff. They did a lot of callback stuff that they did. Um, so going through the match, they hit some crazy shots and things like that. But primarily, like the screwdriver spot, which is the big thing about uh, Takeshita stabbing him or getting stabbed, stuff like
Mhm,
that. It was a big thing. In fact, they do this great spot where uh, Takeshita is choking Kenny Omega on the, and this is towards the finish, on the bottom rope, right? And so he's choking him on the bottom rope. Ref pulls him off. He's like, okay, okay, okay. And then Don Callis comes running over with the screwdriver and swings it up to go stab him, right? In the head. Like he lifts it up high, like he's going full
huh,
Michael Myers on him. And Kenny moves. And like at the last second, Don Callis stabs it into the mat. And it's
ooh,
stuck there in the mat and it's just on the outside on the apron and such, and it works towards the finish because then Takeshita gets picked up for the one winged angel following that, and is reaches over like over the ropes and grabs the or as he's getting pulled up, reaches through the ropes and grabs the screwdriver and is up on the shoulders of Kenny Omega as he's getting ready to stab him. The ref sees it in his hand and takes it away from him and such like that. And then they work to the finish from there. I'm trying to remember what the finish is though.
so
I believe Takeshita wins this.
yes. So let's see here. So Omega hits a V trigger, but Takeshita finds the screwdriver that's taken away. So Takeshita hits a running knee for 2, and then another running knee finishes Omega.
There you go.
Yeah, I sounds like a great match, and I think they should keep this Takeshita guy around. I think they should push him.
I think they're going to. So he's was signed to AEW a while ago. Like he was here as a face for a minute.
Hmm.
He came in initially for Forbidden Door 1 and worked in that 8-man that they had against Jericho Society
Hmm.
because him and Jericho had beef. And he
Hmm.
worked as a face for a while until he came in with Don Callis and stuff like that. So I think he's going to stay around. He's a great worker. He's actually working the independents in the US right now, too. So he's doing a lot of great work.
Yeah, I want to see more of him for sure. Um, so then you've got Bullet Club Gold versus FTR and the Young Bucks. Strange pairing.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, tell me about this match.
It was odd because there was a story and the Young Bucks were in it. Um, no, it was very good in the way that they were telling the story. So you had both the Young Bucks and FTR who have been feuding, going against Bullet Club Gold, who were like, the top guys right now. Like not top guys, but they're collaboration. Like they're all together, right? Uh,
Hmm.
and they do great work together, the four of them. That being said, Juice Robinson has some of the worst gear. He's got these gold tights that he wears. They're the nut huggers. And I think that they were designed for him when he was about 20 pounds heavier because they are constantly wrinkling and look like they're about to fall off his ass all the time. They're horrible. That being said, the whole story of this match is a lot of like at first FTR and the Bucks are not wanting to work together. Specifically, FTR does not want to work with the Bucks. So they go for like FTR goes and starts off, and then one of the Bucks puts their hands up for a tag, and instead they tag the other member FTR, and then goes off again, and then he reaches out for another tag with the FTR member, and then this time Nick Jackson tags in, and they kind of go back and forth. Like they're doing a lot of this stuff for the shine during the shine stuff like this. Um, and they have a lot of the stuff going through the whole time, but it's towards the end that it actually builds a story that does it so well because you get to a part where you have these two tag teams, FTR and the Bucks, who know each other so well, that scenarios happen in the match where they need their partner they usually do stuff with to do tag moves, right? So at one point they go to do a FTR goes to do a stuffed pile drivers where someone picks them up for a pile driver, the other guy gets up on the second rope, jumps off, and does a spike, right?
Mhm.
They go to do that, and as they go to do that, I believe it's Dax Wheeler is the one going up the top rope and gets knocked to the outside. From there, gets thrown off top, where Harwood is holding the pile driver. Well, fights off, boom, 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 picks him back up again for the pile driver. But this time, um, Nick Jackson is the one that gets up on the second rope and does the stuff with him. So they do the stuff there. And then later on, Matt Jackson and Dash Harwood end up doing the BTE trigger, which is their version of the V trigger, the knees that uh, the Bucks do. So they
Mhm.
both give a knee. Boom. Uh, they also have it where they do a spot where Dash Harwood ends up doing a superplex on one of the members. I think it's Juice, if I remember right. Does a superplex, and then you have uh, uh, Wheeler jump off the top and off the rope with a splash or a headbutt. Then you had Matt Jackson jump off the top with a splash, and then you had Nick Jackson jump off with another splash. All like boom, boom, boom. It was a great like cohesiveness at the end.
Mhm.
Um, and then I believe this isn't the finish, but it gets right into the finish. Is you have the uh, uh, FTR going for the Shatter Machine, um, and as they go to hit it, uh, Juice goes and saves. I think it was Switchblade and stops him from getting hit. And then they shoot it off again, but this time they switch out Wheeler again with I can't remember if it's Nick or Matt Jackson, and he hits it this time in spot of the other member. So they hit that for the finish, and they get to a 1-2 kick out. I want to say though it was Bullet Club Go that wins this.
Yeah, it is. So they get a big win here.
Mm.
Um
There's a really good story though through the whole match of like the two teams are fighting at the beginning and then coalesce into an actual team together because they know each other so well. I like that story.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they're going with this. I think we're eventually going to get another Young Bucks and an FDR match.
Hmm.
Um so I feel like they're going to build to that again, maybe with a stipulation or something. But yeah, I sounds like a good match. Um
Hmm.
so the last match, main event time. So they get the main event spot, which was going to be CM Punk main eventing against Ricky Starks in the strap match. Starks went on with Danielson, and now the international title main events with Orange Cassidy defending against John Moxley.
So two things. One, this was the right match, the main event. Even with
Okay.
CM Punk, it would have been there. I think this was the right match, the main event, because it gives a lot of credibility to the international
Mhm.
title.
Yeah.
There's talks that they might make this the second show title, so put this
Mhm.
one on collateral and make or collision, excuse me,
Mhm.
and make it their big championship title.
Mhm.
Um, and a lot to do with that is Orange Cassidy, right? Orange Cassidy's put a lot of prestige onto this thing. He's gone 31 matches, 32 matches, win streak right now with this match, or with this title, and hasn't lost. But I've talked about this before that I love what they've done with this, where he has been playing up injuries, right? So
Mhm.
every match he has, he gets some new injury that he's got to proceed and continue with, and everything else, and continue to go and go and go. And they still go with that on this, right? That he's still hurt and has to deal with injuries from this. It is a great match. Um, Orange Cassidy has come such a long way with this gimmick, where like it's oh my god, I can't talk how good Orange Cassidy's come along with the gimmick he's got with this. There's a spot later I'll talk about that they do that just explains it so much. But at the beginning of the match, and mind you, by the way, I think when I said earlier that the Ricky Starks and Brian Danielson match was tied for match of the night, it's tied with
Mhm.
this for me
Okay.
because it's that good. The match starts off hot, like Orange Cassidy comes out like a ball of fire and goes and even hits the orange punch to go for the pin right off the bat. Um, and John Moxley's just a beast. Like he's so much bigger than him and stuff like that. And they play up to that the whole time. But no matter what Moxley does, he just can't keep Orange Cassidy down, right? And they get to a part towards the end. Like there's a bunch of huge spots here. Orange Cassidy it gets so bloody. Like John Moxley doesn't bleed in this match, but he
Yeah.
doesn't have to. Like Orange Cassidy bleeds pretty much the amount that Moxley has bled in the last 6 shows in one
Wow.
show. Like it is insane. There's one part where Moxley is like biting the wound, and the only blood on Moxley is around his mouth from the bite. And then he puts Orange Cassidy down. This is out on the outside at the um, commentator's desk, and there is a like pool of blood the size of like I don't know, almost like a size of a football from the blood right there. It is insane how much he was bleeding in this match. And they go through and have these crazy spots. They were so good. Uh, but it gets to the comeback and everything else. And Orange Cassidy goes to do his spot, right? Which is put his hands in his pockets. And then he goes and does the like kicks to the shins, like the oh kick. He does
Mhm.
about 2 of those, and then he pulls his hands out of his pockets and starts lighting John up with those kicks, and like going crazy and crazy and crazy, and then goes for the super kick and off of it and everything else, and hits it, and then I think he goes for another orange punch, and like he's just a ball of fire at the end, boom, 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 but is unable to win. John Moxley ends up hitting him with 2 of his paradigm shifts or death riders or whatever they are, and they look
Mhm.
sick when they hit him. But the second one he hits him with, or before he hits him with the second one, um, it looks like Orange Cassidy's going to put his hands in his pockets again. And instead of putting his hands in his pockets, he turns his hands up and just flips John off. And
Nice.
then he hits him with the last one, and he can't kick out. It's 1, 2, 3. You're a new champion, John Moxley, who is now, I think, officially Triple Crown in AEW, the first Triple Crown winner.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, because he won the world.
Mm-hmm.
He won.
The
Let's see.
tag.
Did he? I'm not sure he did. So what other title would it have been?
Not the tag. Maybe the trios.
Um, I don't remember him holding the trios.
Oh, I don't know. I
I
feel like
don't
he's
know.
the Triple Crown winner, but I could be wrong. Um, but it's a huge title for him, and if they do make it so that uh, it's the big title on Collision, which I think he's the right person to
Mhm.
hold it if they go that path, then
Mhm.
it'll be good.
Well, and Moxley can defend that title and bring it to another level because he can go defend it in New Japan or he can go
Mm-hmm.
defend it, on the Indies or whatever, and making kind of a big deal. I feel like, yeah, this sounds like a fantastic match.
It was
Um,
amazing, and it made it brought Orange Cassidy
Mhm.
up another level. Like he's main event at this point.
See, and that's which is crazy, right? Because if you would have told me, even a year ago that Orange Cassidy would be main event level, because I would have thought, I don't know about that, because it seemed like it would be a fad, his whole gimmick, and it would run its course,
Yeah,
and you couldn't get so much out of it. Um, I feel like this is going to be the show where even in losses, you had Orange Cassidy elevated and Ricky Starks elevated, and like Moxley and Danielson did a great job in elevating two new top guys.
I agree. Like, especially for a show, like we were going into it, like, what are they
Mhm.
going to do?
Yeah.
It had a lot more to it than I expected. Um, and I have to say, like, even though in the matches, like, I kind of poo-pooed on,
Mhm.
like, every single person put their heart into these matches. Save the one with oh, Samoa Joe, the guy he worked.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know.
It served its purpose though, right?
it,
Being on there
it,
to set up the big time match.
it did, but outside of that, like, eh. That being said, though,
Yeah.
it was surprisingly a good pay per view.
I'm
I
gonna have to track it down.
My wife and I, we were like totally wondering whether we were going to get it like back to back
Mhm.
ones because it's
Right.
$100,
Mhm.
and outside of writing it off for since we did a review, I could write it
Mhm.
off as part of the podcast stuff. But in addition, we were like trying to figure out, like, is this going to be worth doing? It was
Mhm.
totally worth it. If you have the opportunity, go and watch it. It was a fantastic pay per view.
That's awesome.
All right. That being said, guys, sorry we had to burn through some of these matches pretty quickly because of time, because we were reviewing two shows, plus talking about the craziness of the wrestling world right now. So let us know what your favorite match was. Let us know your thoughts and opinions on the whole letting go of CM Punk and everything else. And who knows? Maybe he'll end up in WWE. I doubt it, but who knows? Let us know. Reach out to us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at BeHeroMedia.com, or excuse me, at BeHeroMedia, or go to BeHeroMedia.com. You can also reach out to me directly on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Mike Burke DCW, or Mike Burke Pro on Twitter, because Twitter still hates me. You can also reach out to Psycho at Psycho Wrestling on Facebook. Lastly, upcoming shows for Devotion Championship Wrestling. Still have a lot of huge shows coming up September 16th, Trolley Square, Salt Lake City. Huge show for us. Devotion Championship Wrestling presents Controlled. The new NWA champion is heavyweight champion. EC3 is slated to be there. Uh, that being said, there might be a chance. No. So hold on that. Keep posted with us on that. But we still will have Chris Adonis, who will be going up against Devotion Championship Wrestling heavyweight champion Brett Buffet. You will also be having former WWE star Sim Bodie, who wrestled as Kazarian. Yeah,
No,
Kazarian. Uh,
Kazarni.
Kazarni, sorry. It's not my fault he's got a similar name.
Yeah, he's definitely not Frankie Kazarian.
No. Kazarni, but he wrestled now in Sim Bodie.
Mhm.
Fantastic guy. He's going up against the big mouth of Devotion Championship Wrestling, Andrew Sowell. Also find Andrew on a podcast here on Be Hero, Slightly Agitated. And so many more. We will be announcing some more coming up soon. I'm super excited for this show. Last time we were at Trolley Square for the 4th anniversary show. It was a huge show for us, huge show for myself, because I got the opportunity to be able to a future opportunity, as you will, to be able to go against the Utah State television title off of Bud Birch. But we don't know when that's going to happen. Hold on. That could happen at Control. Following that, we will be at Fan X, September 21st to the 23rd. It'll be a great time there. We'll be wrestling all throughout the event, as well as a ton of great people that will be there. God, I can't even give you a list of who else is going to be there. It's an insane amount of celebrities that'll be there this year. If you haven't got your tickets yet, go purchase them online at fanx.com and use our code WRESTLING to get 15% off. And then lastly, we will be right back at Lightyear Studios for Halloween Bash on October 6th. So, guys, there's a ton of great wrestling coming up. I was talking to somebody just recently. We have had a show, I think, almost 5 months now. We've had a show almost every weekend outside of like 3. It has been insane how much wrestling Devotion has had lately, and it's only getting bigger. We just added another show up next month in October, Lagoon or not Lagoon, Logan. Uh, so, guys, stay posted with us on Facebook at Devotion Championship Wrestling, Twitter, and Twitter is DCW Salt Lake City, and as well as on TikTok now, and that will be under Devotion Wrestling. So, guys, that's a lot. We've done a lot today. We've done a lot of talking. My head is so like killing me right now with this head cold I've got
It's
going
past
on.
my bedtime.
Yeah, I noticed you were falling asleep on me while I was talking about the last match. So, that all being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you enjoyed this weekend of wrestling. It was a great weekend for wrestling. For B Hero and everybody else here, this has been Psycho, this has been me, and that's us tapping out. Have a great night, guys.